Imagine, if you will, the electric, almost suffocating atmosphere of an international football tournament right before a major match. The stadium is packed to the absolute brim. The air is thick with anticipation. You've got this roaring crowd waiting just moments before kickoff. And then, a sudden hush falls over the arena. A single melody begins to play, just washing over the thousands of people present. Today, we're exploring the profound and honestly often overlooked psychological architecture behind that very moment, the hidden power of national anthems. Okay, let's dive into this because it's a truly miraculous phenomenon when you really stop and think about it. How does a simple melody, something lasting maybe, 90 seconds, manage to turn this vast, fractured, and highly diverse crowd into a single, unified people? In those fleeting few minutes of music, thousands of completely separate individuals with entirely different lives, different beliefs, and varying daily struggles. They're inextricably bound together. For just a brief moment, the whole concept of the individual literally dissolves into the collective. But what exactly is the mechanism behind this musical alchemy? Well, if we look closely, we find that most national anthems actually follow a fascinating hidden rule. They rarely invent entirely new musical genres. Instead, they almost always adopt one of two primary forms. On one hand, you have the march, driving, militant, and explicitly designed to rally the spirit and quicken your pulse. On the other hand, we have the hymn, which operates completely differently. It's reverent, solemn, and sweeping in its emotional scope. And a country doesn't just pick one of these at random, out of a catalog. The style a nation ultimately chooses is quietly, deeply shaped by the crucible of its own unique history. Let's move to and see how this builds with our first case study, France's fiery war song. France is a nation whose modern identity was quite literally forged in the fires of revolution, so it should come as absolutely no surprise that their anthem perfectly reflects that turbulent, violent, and passionate past. It is perhaps the ultimate embodiment of the march form, completely saturated with the fierce defiance of its historical origins. Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer mythic survival story of La Marseillaise. It didn't actually begin its life as a national anthem at all. Born in 1792 as a literal war song, it was written in a single feverish night by an army engineer named Roger de Lille to rally eager volunteers defending Paris. By 1795, it was officially adopted as the anthem. But here's the most incredible dramatic twist of fate. Roger was later accused of counter-revolutionary acts and actually faced execution. Yet, as the historical story goes, the very song he wrote was already so deeply beloved by the masses that its immense popularity essentially shielded him, helping to save his life from the guillotine. Over the following decades, the song was viewed as so dangerously provocative that it faced repeated bans by various regimes, until it was finally permanently restored in 1879. Its power never waned. When Nazi-occupied Paris was finally liberated during World War II, this defiant, rallying march was the very first thing that jubilant crowds sang in the streets. But let's shift our focus across the border and adjust our tempo to something a bit more contemplative and deeply historical. Case Study 2, Spain's Wordless March. Made an official march of honor all the way back in 1770, Spain's Marcha Real stands as one of the oldest national anthems in the world. And it provides a stark, fascinating contrast to the loud, lyric-heavy defiance of France's Marseillaise, showing us a completely different path a nation can take to achieve that exact same sense of unity. So why is it such a dramatic contrast? Because Spain's Marcha Real has absolutely no official words. None. It's an entirely instrumental composition. This makes it one of the strangest and most unique anthems globally. In fact, Spain belongs to an incredibly exclusive club on the world stage. Only 3 countries in the entire world share this rare, curious trait of a wordless national anthem: Spain, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Kosovo. And this brilliantly illustrates how the history of these national symbols can sometimes be clouded by grand legends. For a very long time, a popular romantic tale circulated claiming that the melody was actually composed by none other than Frederick the Great of Prussia. However, historical reality tells a much more grounded story. The earliest confirmed record of the tune dates back to a 1761 Spanish military songbook, thoroughly busting that 19th-century myth. It was a local military march long before it was a national treasure. Now, you might instinctively think that lacking lyrics is a weakness for a national anthem. I mean, how do you sing along? How do you voice your patriotism? But in truth, it's a profound strength. In a complex country like Spain, rich with highly diverse regions, distinct local cultures, and multiple spoken languages, words have the dangerous potential to divide. A specific lyric might inadvertently alienate one group while elevating another.
But a wordless march, a sweeping melody, leaves room for everyone. It speaks directly and silently to each listener's own personal memory, allowing them to project their own unique sense of belonging onto the music without the friction of language.
So the crucial point is this deeply poetic insight. Whether a nation actively fills its anthem with fiery, rebellious words like France, or intentionally leaves it completely, beautifully silent like Spain, the music itself acts as a key. It opens the door to a shared memory, reminding every single person listening that they belong to something far larger than themselves. It creates a transient but incredibly powerful emotional state that logic and language alone simply cannot achieve. Which brings us full circle to that roaring stadium and leaves us with a final thought for you to take away from our time together today. When those opening notes play and the crowd falls silent, what shared memory does your anthem unlock for you?